Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm your host, Anu Khanna, and today I'm joined by Andrew Lee, who's the CEO of J&P Group. It's really great to have you with us today, Andrew. Would you
Well,
like
thank you very
to
much.
kick us
Yes,
off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
yes. Well, thank you for the invite. My name's Andrew Lee. I am the CEO of JMP Group. We're a business of civil and structural engineers that span from Glasgow down to Bristol, and we've got a staff of about 140 staff, and we're in quite a lot of sectors in the industry. And we do a lot of things like geoenvironmental, traffic, flood risk, civil and structural engineering. So that's a quick overview of JMP.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Wow. What do you attribute this growth to?
Um, well, for what I've learned over the years with now managing JMP and being part of it for now over 20 odd years, is that the first thing you really need to do is set a strategy and plan. And don't be afraid to adapt and change. You've got to always adapt and change, but initially set your strategy and plan. Well, you've got to remember that everything changes.
Mm.
You need to be ahead of the business development. If something changes, you need to be mindful of that and try and predict it and just always be able to adapt. You also got to remember that you don't know everything. You are just a natural person, normal person who is in the industry of structural engineering. I'm a chartered engineer as my background, and I know that, but I don't know all of it. And with running a business, there's a lot of things I've learned along the way. You don't know everything. That's very, very clear. You need to accept that. You don't know everything. You listen and learn from others. You've got to listen to other people in your business and get the skill sets around you who are able to advise you. The other thing I've learned over the years is you've got to drive things through. You got to have faith and resilience. You know, it's not always going to work, but you've got to have faith with proper informed information. You've got to also understand your business challenges. What is it that's affecting your business today? What could be affecting your business tomorrow? And making sure you prioritize that. Because if you don't, you can get lost in the day-to-day running of your business, which could be a problem because you'll miss a fundamental thing that could have a major effect on how you grow and get better as a business. You also got to remember that people have limitations. We're all human. So you've got to remember that priorities have to be constantly discussed and reviewed because you can very easily get distracted. So I see myself having to make sure I drive things through and making sure my staff are fully aware of the challenges and priorities. Don't be afraid of your weaknesses. I've got an awful lot of weaknesses. And I'm not afraid of getting people around me who know better. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. You know, I don't know everything. I've accepted I don't know everything. So I put people around me who know things I don't know. And as a team, we get on a very good track and we deliver, and that attributes to the growth of our business.
There's a lot of humility as well, Andrew.
Yes, yes. You've got to be very honest about yourself. And once you do that, you will then get together and develop something. If you don't understand that people's weaknesses and strengths, you're just fighting a battle, which will be a problem. And it's a problem you don't want on top of it trying to run a business.
No, totally. So, no, really good. Thank you for that share.
I was just going to say one other thing as well, which you must remember is staff come first. Without staff, you don't have a business. If you've got to have happy staff, happy business, happy clients, and that's probably one of the real key business key points. You know, good ethos, a good strategy, and just look after your staff and respect them.
Well said. Happy customers come from happy coworkers.
Yes.
Yeah, no, really well said. Thank you for that, Andrew. There are a lot of business owners listening to this recording. So what would you say are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how would you address them?
I think it's just sort of referring back to what I said just earlier on, not recognizing that good staff, if you don't have good staff, happy staff, you don't really have a business because it'll always be a battle. If you don't look after them, you're running a business with perfect staff, perfect process, perfect clients and fees and opportunities would be masked and a struggle. And really, you need to take that away. So, you know, looking after your staff and having good staff is very important.
Yes. And how did you learn that? What have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you began, started JNP?
I think the other things I've learned is leaders. I think one of the problems with leaders is that they think they know everything, and they've got to accept they don't. They've
Mm,
got to accept it's a team. It's not a one business. It's a team. It's 140 staff, and unless you're all aligned, confident in what you're doing, in the place of playing a football, if you're not confident in your winger or your goalie, then you're going to have a problem. You've got to allow them to do their job and you do your job. So staff is very important. Good staff. Poor leadership, I think, and bad habits of poor leadership, which can actually knock your credibility as a leader,
mm,
is not crediting staff. If you're not crediting staff for their efforts and rewarding them for what they do, and you're not listening to them, then you don't really understand what motivates them. And that's very important. What motivates staff? What is it that they have issues with that you can help them to be in a good environment and to be doing what they need to be doing? Um, the other thing I've also learned is you've got to have a leap of faith. Sometimes you don't know what decision to make. You may be informed as much as you can be. And you've got to really raise to the point. Sometimes you've got to have a leap of faith and just go for it. And also you've got to be accountable. You are accountable for the whole business. You're accountable for everyone in that business. So you've got to make sure that you show that and you put the effort in to make sure that they are all happy and doing what they're supposed to be doing. The question about what's the biggest thing I've learned. I suppose that's
yeah.
probably another. What's the biggest learn that I have as an employee since she began with the business? Well, having a good ethos and culture is very important, and you've got to stick to it. Staff well-being is very, very important, and expectations of your staff. You need to really understand that as well. You've got to walk the walk and talk the talk. If you don't do that, then
Mm.
people don't stick with it. Listen. You've got to listen to your staff. You've got to take advice. You've got to empower people, and you've got to adapt. You're adapting every day. There's always changes in your business, from the economy to external issues, internal issues. I mean, we've all had a big issue with the IT recently in the news, and it has affected JMP a little bit. So we've got to adapt quickly to that and expect those things to happen and be prepared to move. The other good important thing I would say is employing good people. You've just got to put the effort in to find these good people and look after them. And if you look after them, they'll look after you. And that's been I would say one of the biggest things I've learned since I've been employed in this business. Those things. It's all around staff, good culture, staff, and the culture is to look after your staff and have a good business plan. And if you've got that in place, it will then develop into a good business with its challenges, which will happen every day. And that's what always happens.
Yeah, there's some really golden nuggets there. And we can see how and why JNP has grown. It clearly is a lot about leadership from your side, Andrew.
Mm.
What have been the challenges? I mean, have you faced any challenges in the growth journey?
Yeah, an awful lot every day. There's always something coming on, but I think one of the main challenges I think that sometimes people do miss is aligning important priorities and focusing on them and not to lose them. Every day there's a challenge coming into the business that is just doing what you do every day. It could be trying to provide a product or a service, and the service is challenging with your client. But there are underlying issues in the business that you mustn't lose focus on and make sure you're aligned all the time. It could be that you may not necessarily have a very good client feedback system, and it's something that's always on your mind, and you're not doing it, and for some reason you're being distracted and you're not put that as a priority, because if you recognize that's important and you do it, you'll start getting the real rewards from that. As always, it's external factors. I mean, the new government and the politics is constantly a challenge. The economy with the hyperinflation, the issues we've had with the pandemic and all sorts of things, Brexit, they're always coming in, and there comes the adapting. You've got to adapt. You've got to keep your eye on it. You've got to see that these things are potential issues to you, and just put a plan in place. What will happen if this happens? And don't lose focus. Sometimes you'll recognize something in the morning that could be a major impact on your business, and for some reason you get distracted on something that you do every day. That, I think, is important. Align priorities and
Mm.
focus. Keep abreast of what's affecting your business. You know, what is happening today in the business that could be better? Is there something internal that I can improve? Is there something coming through the door externally that could be an issue? Don't lose focus on that. And I think a lot of businesses sometimes do that. And I've done it myself. And before you know it, you wished you did that 6 months ago, 2 years ago. Once you do it and you have focus and you've got the priorities right, the rewards are huge.
Yeah.
Which is
No, very good. Andrew, you talked about aligning priorities and, priority with your family. So how do you balance your personal life, prioritizing that with the demands of running a business?
I think there's a few things you got to recognize as a CEO or a managing director of a business is that it never leaves you.
Mm,
It's not a 9 to 5 job where you go to work, by 9 o'clock you're focused on the business, you leave the business and you go home and that's it. It never ever leaves you. And I think that is something you must accept. That is that I can't change that. You are accountable, you are at the head, and the buck stops with you.
mm,
You've got to just take that on board on the chin. Reflection, I think, is very good time. So you need time. You can't be working 9 till 5 every day, run the business. You've got to give yourself reflection time within the business. So a lot of contemplation is very important. If there's an issue that you have, you've got to get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, you'll never let it go. So you've got to recognize at some point, I've got to go and sit in another room, go for a walk, or take a few hours or even a day out and just reflect on this
mm,
issue. That takes the stress away, because if you don't understand it, you don't know what to do, there's the pressure. If you do understand it, not necessarily what you're going to do about it, the pressure's halved. And I think that's very important. Managing stress, so managing your stress and negative feelings is important. I've learned over many years of um, having an analogy now that sometimes when you're in bed and you have these half dreams and you're half awake and you wake up with anxiety because everything's in a mess. And the way I look at it is that you can have a dream, and the old pigeon boxes, which was like a big piece of furniture that people used to put messages in, and it said, "This is Bill's messages, Joel's messages." And sometimes I had this allergy when I'm in bed, that gets knocked over. And then the stress is it hits you. Then I've learned over years to have a routine that, having a shower or getting ready for work, and just picture that box or the pigeon box falling over, coming back. It just sort of puts itself back into place, and all those pieces of paper that are flown everywhere goes back into place. And what that is, that's your mind slowly putting things
mm,
back into. And that's something I do every day. I'll wake up and I'll say, right, where was I yesterday? And that again just seriously reduces my stress and negative feelings. I also look after myself. I think it's very important. I physical and mentally. Downtime is very important to me, and
mm,
time to do things I really enjoy. I'm very much into motorbikes, music, films, and cars. So I do consciously spend time doing that. And also with the family, it's the same thing. Family is very important to me, my pets and my lifestyle, where I live and that sort of thing that I enjoy. So it's just sometimes recognizing and
mm,
giving yourself time, but it always comes back. It's always a thought that comes back, and you've just got to recognize that thought. And if you can prioritize it or do something to put it into a bank, that's what I've learned over the years. Just take that seriously. Give yourself downtime and reflection. Reflection so
mm,
much, because if you keep piling pressure and piling problems,
mm,
if you can have a problem and reflect on it and have a solution or a plan, then the stress goes. Then you can pick up another problem and reflect, and then before you know it, everything comes into order, like the pigeon box with all those people in there. And it works. It's worked for me. Hence, I'm not looking bad for an 80-year-old.
No, really good. And reflection time is really the key. Even sometimes blocking your diary for the reflection time, so making sure it happens.
And the goals that we were saying earlier on, having the right people around you. One of the very important things is bringing people in that managing my weaknesses. And one of my weaknesses that
Mm,
sometimes I have to be brought in and focused. I have to be
mm,
managed with personal emails and company emails. And one of my employments, which was very good, was many years ago, was bringing in a PA, and that really helped me. It
mm,
helped me to focus, somebody to reflect issues with,
mm.
and that worked as well. So having the right people around you, managing your weaknesses and,
Yes,
and recognizing your weaknesses, that's very key.
100%. Building on your strengths and then right people in the right seats.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. So what qualities do you look for when you're hiring employees? How do you ensure that they are the right people?
I think it's quite interesting thing a good question that. And I think I see myself as a leader that brings out the best in good people. So it's sort of getting to know them very well, and trying to understand what drives them, and tries to understand what their motivations are, and also what their mental well-being desires and needs are, and anything that's external that could affect everyone to do their job. I think that's very important. So I don't see myself as not necessarily recognizing great people. I think it's it's working with them to bring the best out of them, and support them where they need the support, and encourage them and praise them where they are developing very well. So I think that's important. I think the other thing that's important as well would be having somebody who, which I think is an important attribute to have, is being adaptable.
Mm,
Things change every day, and you need to adapt, and not be afraid to adapt. Just because you
mm,
did it yesterday doesn't mean you need to do it today, or it's the right thing to do today. Openness is very important. Honesty.
mm.
You are struggling or you've got issues, share it, and there's people around you, good people that will support you. Listen's very important, and that's one of the key things as a good leader. You must listen, take the advice, be informed, and then make a good informed decision. So you need good people that listen and learn, and open to challenges, and are respectful. They're open for challenges, but they're respectful to others. That's important, because that breeds team. If you don't respect your working colleagues, and you're not prepared to work with them and be honest and open and listen, you don't have a team. If you don't have a team, you don't have a business, and that's very important. So it's a two-way thing. If they're prepared to listen, adapt, are fully respectful and honest and open, and with I see myself as a leader that brings the best out of people, I can make people work well with the business and help that grow the business and make it a pleasant place to work, get to know them. So I think that's important. A few other things I would say, um, um, I just think really it's staff. Look
Mm,
after your staff. Just look after your staff. It's so important.
mm.
Just understand them. Just understand them, and help them to develop into good working team people.
Yeah, no, really good. Thank you for sharing so many golden nuggets with myself and the audience here. So just to wrap it up, Andrew, so any business owner who's listening to you and is inspired by GNP success, what would be your advice to the business owner who wants to make it big?
Um, and wants to make it big. I think the first thing is to really have a very good strategy. Have a
Mm,
very good strategy. Have a really good ethos and culture. You've got to get that right, because unless you're uh, ready and have the best of the things around you to build off, you'll be backtracking all the time. Um, I think strategy, ethos is something that you need to work with and constantly push it, drive it through, adapt and listen and tweak it as need be. get everyone aligned to that. So it's not just having that at the board level or just down at certain levels. You've got to have it from the top all the way down to the bottom. You've got to have the people through that process able to influence and come back up. So communication. So you may have an ethos, and unless you have an ethos and a strategy that is able to be adapted and changed through other people getting involved, it won't work. And I wrote a strategy years ago. It constantly changes and adapts, and that's not me changing it. That's people inputting it from down the line to the top. You know, the communication from the top to the bottom and bottom up is key. You've got to have that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think once you've got that and a good ethos, which is looking after your staff, supporting your staff, and also believing in yourself as well, you know, having a belief that this is going to work, and having it ratified and verified by people around you, and taking advice, and then recognizing priorities and push through the culture.
Yeah.
It is key, and adapting as you go from day to day. You know, something will change tomorrow that will throw your plan out, as they say. You know, the battle plans is destroyed and finished by the first shot. You've got to then go back and readapt because there's a consequences of the first shot, and then you just got to adapt and change. But not on your own. You're not on your own. You are with a lot of people around you, and use them and support them and encourage them and empower them, and listen to them. Listen, because they will really, really help you map out the actions that you need to really do to make your business bigger and better and happier and nicer. And the other thing I would say is be different.
Yeah.
Don't follow the norm. You know, structural engineering and consultancy was the old suits and ties, and somebody knew better and just told you what to do, and you used to sit there in the office and not question or not push back. No, the world's changed. You have to be a modern business, adapting with modern ways, listening to your young staff coming up, the young that come in. They can open up so many great doors to you that can really help. Really help.
No, that was excellent, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us here and sharing your insights with all of our audience who are listening to you. Thank you.
Yeah, and one thing I will say as well, just make sure you enjoy it.
Yes.
You know, a lot of things are hard because you're dealing with things you don't understand. Just get people around you that make you understand it. Then it becomes a pleasant journey, and everyone's enjoying it. You've got a good environment. Everyone's happy in the environment, and they're all happy doing what they're doing.
Honestly, life's too short to do anything and not enjoy it.
Exactly. Yes, yes, and it can be done. It
Yeah.
can be. And that's just sharing it, working with people, and you'll do it. You will do it. I've enjoyed it. It's had its challenges, but I still enjoy it.
Very good. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope people have learned something, or hopefully there'll be some nuggets in there that's going to help other people.
I'm sure it definitely will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.